Hello, and welcome back to SpaceChem. A brief history of SpaceChem. Let's get into it. Story and training. We'll do story first. A brief history of SpaceChem. The training facility on Cernimere 2 was a campus of rectangular metal buildings connected by corrugated tunnels with a landing zone located west of the reactor field. There was only a trace atmosphere on the surface, leaving the horizon empty except for the central star and the sister planet Cernimere 4. I sat in a folding chair behind a table in a brightly lit room with 15 other trainees. A middle-aged woman stood at the front of the room, smiling. She wore a gray jumpsuit with a name tag that read, Angela. "Welcome to your first day of training," she said. "We're going to get started with some of the basics about SpaceChem, its founding and mission. We'll get through some of the dry material later in the session." As she clapped her hands, the lights dimmed and a SpaceChem logo appeared on the wall. SpaceChem was founded in 2745 by George Vossler. An image of a portly, mustachioed man appeared for a moment before Angela flicked to the next screen, which contained the likeness of a salmon. Originally, SpaceChem was a subsidiary of Vossler Industries, specializing in the manufacture of fish-based food products. Later on, Vossler Industries folded and SpaceChem expanded into chemical engineering. The fish disappeared and was replaced by a star field. Ever since, SpaceChem has revolutionized the industry with its reactor technology. We currently employ over 200,000 individuals in various capacities on over 3,000 planets and stations. It's not very many people per planet or station, actually. SpaceChem is the largest chemical engineering and manufacturing company in the universe. Another SpaceChem logo materialized. SpaceChem's goal is to provide high-quality chemical necessities to human colonies on a universal scale in an economical and effortless manner. Angela clapped to turn on the lights. Any questions so far? So I can't help but notice that the story is a lot longer than the training. And we've made more progress on the training, so there's going to be a lot more story in the future, I guess. Bond progression. That makes sense. A pair of atoms can have a maximum of 3 bonds between them. Additionally, each element has a maximum number of bonds allowed per atom. This information can be found on the periodic table. Attempting to add more bonds than is allowed will not work. It will not cause any problems. Right. So they helpfully circle that number for you. That's the one that you need to care about. So yeah, no double or triple bonded hydrogen, no triple bonded oxygen. Nitrogen can do whatever. Now, I think you're limited to only 3 bonds between the two. I mean, this is probably something I can test pretty quickly. But I don't think there's any space in here for a 4th bond. So even though it has 5, I guess it would have to be bonds to other atoms in total. And there's probably ways that this will be abused later. Right, and it's not telling us anything. Okay, so we have hydrogen and chlorine. Well, isn't there a... Oh, here it is. Okay. So hydrogen has 1. Chlorine over here has 7. Alright, so before we do anything else, and like I said, I'm just going to start using hotkeys for things to get things going relatively quick. So hydrogen comes in here, chlorine comes in here, hydrochloric acid comes out. So basically the same as the previous mission. However, I want input and grab, I guess, right here. And we're going to drop here. And then we're going to set up something else here. And this is going to take, whoops, not caps lock. It'll take a little bit to set this up, but I want to test how many bonds we can put on the chlorine before going any further. So here we're going to have, oops, we'll do a bond here, and a grab and a drop. And the idea, I'll just do that. And that should do it, unless the starting positions are off. Yeah, so what was wrong here? What was wrong was... I think I wanted you to be a few turns after. So if I set this up right, drop there, grab, drop, grab, drop. So you're going to bond, grab, drop, bond. Yeah, we've got a double there, got a triple. And this is going to cause an error shortly. Okay. So that was... that was test 1. Test 2. We do... Well, it's actually pretty simple. So we just want to spawn a second one. So we want to have just 2 here. And something like that. Okay, there we go. 1 bond, 2 bonds, 3 bonds. Still only 3 bonds. Okay. Is there an erase all button? That would be a good thing to know. I could just hit undo a bunch of times, I suppose. Cannot erase. No, we're just going to do it this way. You know what? Undo would have been a lot faster. In fact, it would probably still be faster. Okay. So now that the testing is done, let's actually start solving the puzzle, and I guess that'll make a nice timestamp stop then. Okay. So I'm going to grab here. Let's input before we grab. We come down, obviously. Alright, let's just do something like that. So that's what hydrogen's doing. Gonna drop it there. That's 16, so if we do this... well, I was gonna say we could do an 8, but let's actually use the sync command. I think that'll be fine. So we'll just have this be shorter. In fact, I could just do it going back and forth on a single line, probably. So, yeah, so let's do that. So hydrogen goes here. Dropped. This is going to be awkward now because now I've got a sink in the middle of a line. So we're going to have to sync the red one twice. Just how a little decision suddenly makes everything else complicated. Also, I should be playing this out occasionally, just so that I can make sure that what I'm doing is what I have going on in my head. Hopefully makes for a better viewing experience, too. Yeah. Okay. So then we're going to sync, and then we're going to put input beta here. So the first time they sync, it's going to input the beta right there. And then we're going to put a bond here. It's only going to bond the first time because we're going to have grabbed it. It's not really necessary, I guess, but just for clarity, I will specify where I'm grabbing and dropping. Alright, so let's see. Is this doing what I think it's doing? It should get me a hydrochloric acid going across. Yep. Perfect. Okay. So then here we're going to do a drop. And I guess the most efficient thing to do doesn't matter because we're running on blue, so it'll be the next turn regardless. So let's just do the output on blue as well. Alright, so this should be a solution. It's getting a bit more complicated when I'm left to my own devices. And this looks completely different than what we did in the previous mission. Now we're making use of sync. Oh yeah, so this is every line has an instruction if you include start. But you cannot put an instruction on start, I did notice that. Alright. Well, that's how I chose to do it. We'll see how efficient this was compared to the other options. Marginally more efficient. Alright. And more research. Moving bonds. Okay. It's going to be the same thing, but in reverse, I guess. I will see you then.